If you don't think that there are hidden things in this bill that are furthering a progressive liberal agenda, let me point out a couple of things. Number one, student loans are no longer going to be coming from a bank. Used to be government would co-sign your loan with the bank. Now you're going to be getting your loan directly from the federal government. Now what kind of control is the government going to have over who gets educated now and who doesn't? Now think about this for just a second. Lay that aside for just a second and look at it like this. They are using the interest from these loans to pay for this healthcare debacle. They are using the interest from these loans to pay for the healthcare debacle. And it's $60 billion with a B, $60 billion. And people are like, oh yeah, they got to pay for it somehow. No, people, what you don't see is they are taking $60 billion from the private sector and giving it to the federal government in the swipe of a pen. They are destroying our free market capitalistic system. They are. And we're not going to let them do it anymore, are we? No! All right. This past weekend, Senator Max Baucus said it perfectly. And I don't know how many of you caught this, but I actually took the time to copy the quote down so I can read it to you today. Max Baucus over the weekend. By the way, if you don't know who he is the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. He said, the overhaul was an income shift to help the poor. The health care overhaul was an income shift to help the poor. He went on to say, too often, much of late, the last couple, 3 years, the maldistribution of income in America has gone up way too much. The wealthy are getting way, way too wealthy, and the middle income class is left behind. He said wages have not kept up with increased income of the highest income in America. The legislation will have the effect of addressing that maldistribution of income in America. Okay? Right out of the liberal's mouth, people. He said it. The purpose of this legislation is to give my money to someone else. You know what I want the government to address for once? How about the maldistribution of work effort and work ethic in this country? Because you know what else has gone up over the years? Over the last few years, the rich have gotten richer and the welfare rolls have grown exponentially. Eventually, as Margaret Thatcher most perfectly put it, the biggest problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. We are building social programs that we can't afford. And I got to tell you something. I'm going to tell you just a very quick little story. I own 2 businesses, but I started from nothing. I put a second mortgage on my house to start my business. Nobody gave me nothing. When I decided I had to get out there and do it, I got out there and did it. One of the first jobs I did as a coatings contractor was a wet well in Mena, Arkansas. Anybody know what a wet well is? It is a solid storage tank at a sewage treatment plant. Now they told us when we arrived that the tank would be drained, and it was. Of all the water, there were 2 feet of solids in the bottom of that tank. You know what 2 feet of solids is? It's poop. Yeah, that's what it is. We climbed down in this tank that's 25 by 25 with a 2 foot by 2 foot hole. And we stood down there in buckets, or with buckets and shovels for 2 days and cleaned that out. We washed it down and we prepared it for a coating. And let me tell you, people in Mena, Arkansas eat entirely too much corn. Entirely too much. So when people say that business owners had it given to them, let me tell you, I was literally up to here in it. I paid my dues. And what I have because God gave it to me and I earned it. And nobody's going to take that away from me. Always wants to know, what do I do? Well, you go to the polls. That's what you do. You let your voice be heard. You shout it loud and proud and don't worry about who you're offending. People always tell me, what are you running for? I'm not running for nothing. You know why I'm not running? Because then I don't have to apologize to anybody. This is how I feel, and I'm going to say it. Nancy Pelosi recently said that... All right, easy now. Nancy Pelosi recently said that the Tea Party movement and the growth of the conservative movement in America is not representative of Main Street America. She said that we were all just ringers brought in by the Republican Party as operatives. I like being called an operative. That's kind of cool, right? Everybody thinks I'm a spy or something? Let me tell you, Madam Speaker, we are not representative of mainstream America. We are mainstream America.